Welcome, everyone, to Chirping Zebras, episode 38. Mark Riley, not alongside Gino Bender Jr. He's up in Waterville Valley with his daughter's hockey team. We're coming to you live from One Main Restaurant in Peabody, and we have a very special guest. Before we get into that, though, we want to say thank you to AOA Studios for coming out and putting all this together. Also, CPF Productions. Our buddy Chris Flayhive is setting all these live episodes up. Todd Angeli, who's here and doing the watch party. We're going to watch the Bruins later on. And also want to thank our sponsor, the Referees Crease, your one-stop shop for all your referee need. So, my guest today doesn't need any introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. Two-time Stanley Cup winner. He three-time NHL All-Star, 4 seasons in a row with 40-plus goals, 2 50-plus goal seasons. He even outscored Gretzky one year by 2 points, and he was Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr's line mate. Want to welcome to Chirping Zebras, Kevin Stevens. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Awesome. It's great to have you here. First off, I got to start by asking, what was it like to play with Mario Lemieux?
Yeah, that was quite an honor. You know, it was nice. We were kind of in Pittsburgh. We were kind of building our team, you know, and Mario was always the focal point. But when I came in 1988, I didn't play with him right away. I played with Johnny Cohen, and then Ronnie Francis came. I played with him, but getting the opportunity to play with Mario on the power play for a little bit. But he was, you know, when I was first coming in, it was a little intimidating trying to play with him. You know, it was I always forced the puck to him. He always wants the puck anyway. Those guys are the great players want the puck. If they got 5 guys on them, they got no guys on them. You know? So
Yeah.
He always wanted that puck. So, but it was a great honor playing with him. You know, I think he's the best player I ever played because I played with him in his prime. I played with Gretzky when he was kind of a little bit older, and obviously I watched Bobby Orr grow up here. So, you know, those are 3 guys that people consider. But playing with Mario was, you know, it was a dream come true. You know?
So I tell the story before, but I actually told Mario one time he was the 3rd best player ever. we were at the celebrity golf tournament for Mike Erzioni, and he's there, and I tell him that, and I said, hey, Bobby Orr, Gretzky did a few things, that's not bad, right?
I know, that's funny.
But he took it well, thank God. He looks like he could jump right back on the ice.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that kind of stays the same way all the time. But yeah, it's funny, the best thing I ever seen about Mario was, I remember one year when his back was hurt, he didn't practice one time all year. Didn't take pregame skate, didn't practice, just played games. You know, he said, I'll play the power play because he couldn't with his back. He couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And he had 161 points that year. Didn't practice, you know? Like, you know, you've skated. If I took 2 days off, that was a lot, you know? So he took a year off, you know, and he just played the games. When people realize, hey, you know, that is quite a feat. That's something I couldn't play, you know, that way. I needed to be on the ice, and I needed to feel the ice, and you never went on the ice and just played games and had 160 points. You know?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think his career went longer because of the injuries, kind of cut him short. He would arguably be the best player ever.
Yeah, I think he would have been. I think he was so big. You know, the biggest thing was his size and his strength. You know, he had the soft hands. You know, he had everything. Gretz had everything, and they thought the game the same. They always were a play ahead of everybody. But with his size and the way he could handle the puck and stuff like that, I don't know how he wouldn't have. He would have been right up there with Gretz. You know, Gretzky he had some great stuff, but Mario. When he was healthy and able to play, it was amazing to watch.
Oh yeah, and I think too, he's one of those generational players where I don't think no matter when you put him in, no matter what decade you let him play, he's going to dominate the game. Much like Gretzky, much like Orr. You know, and there's a few other guys you can put in that category, but I think he's one of those ones that with that size, 5 Mario Lemieux. You know, against 5 anyone else's would be tough to play.
Yeah, he could play like you said. He'd play in the air. You know, he could play hard. He could play the tough game. Like he didn't shy. He didn't back down for anybody. He didn't get himself in there. He could play that way. If you want to just go up and down the ice, he'll bury you that way. You know, he likes to go up and down the ice. You know, back then they could cover. You know, they used to have guys cover him. You know, just follow him around the ice. You don't see that ever anymore because. You know, the coaches put this trap thing in, and there's all kinds of ways to defend guys now. But he was undefendable. You couldn't stop him when he was at his best. There's no one that could stop him. It didn't matter what they put on him and how they covered him. I remember one game we were playing the Hartford Whalers that we got a power play, and they covered him on the power play. So it was 5-on-4. He went out and stood at the red line. We played 4-on-3. It was me, Coffey, Ron Francis, and I think Murphy or Yager went. I ended up getting 4 goals that game. I just stood on the side of the net. These guys, I'm playing with 3 other Hall of Famers, passing the puck around. Mario's standing at the red line. We're playing 4-on-3 down low, so it was that was an interesting night.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah.
And you mentioned some other players you played with, Coffey and Yager. I mean,
Yeah.
and I think he's still playing somewhere.
Yeah, Yager still plays. He owns a team over there in Czechoslovakia, so he still plays. I was at his, we retired his sweater in Pittsburgh. I was last year. I was at that event. He's a great guy. Yeah, he's a dominant type of player too. Same type of, not the same type as Mike. He likes to carry the puck and stuff, but he was a more strong, dominant puck down low. One of the strongest guys ever, if not the strongest, on the puck down low. You could never get it. He had the big butt, the big legs. You could never get that puck away. Once you had it out here, you weren't going to get away. But he was a great. We got him. I remember our first Stanley Cup, he was our third line winger. Imagine he being on the third line. That's
insane.
We had like Mario, we had Ron Francis, Joey Mullen, we had Trottier, we had Tockett, we had Recchi, we had Coffey, Samuelson, we had Brasso in that, another Hall of Fame. We had a lot of players on that team. Craig Patrick built a great team, but Yags was the third line. For 2 cups, he was the third line player. His first 2 years he came in, he won the Stanley Cup too, so he thought, he thought it was pretty easy to win. I think he won one. I don't think he did win another one, but it's he was a dominant. That was a great pick. He's same thing, 6'4", right? 235 pounds, strong as an ox. Great hands. Really worked hard. Like one of those guys that really worked hard at the game. He was great.
I would argue that with you, Lemieux, and Yager, when you guys played together, I don't know if there was a better line.
Yeah.
Definitely not at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Gretzky, Messier, Curry.
Yeah.
But you guys, I mean, all 3 of you were huge.
Yeah.
And just dominant.
Yeah, it was a good line. All I had to do was, the good thing about my job was I got the puck to, Mario wanted the puck. That's why, Yags played with us sometimes, but Yags wanted the puck too. So sometimes there was only one puck, right? So it's kind of like, it's like you can't split it in half, guys. I didn't want the puck. I wanted the puck where I could shoot it. So that's the best thing about it. That's why Mario liked to play with me. I didn't want the puck. I wanted to give it to him. I wanted to get open down in where I could shoot it. And all I had, he likes to play with guys. Get him the puck in the neutral zone. Get the offensive line and then go to the net, take guys, kind of open up ice for them. Guys either going to come with you, they'll give it to you, but if you can open up some ice for them, they just want they just need a little bit of room. And once that happened, and that line was pretty good. Then I remember in Philly, they had John LeClaire, Michael Renberg, and Lindros, right? Against our line. So there was our line, we're all 6'3", 6'4", Mario 6'5", Lindros is 6'4", LeClaire is 6'4". Renberg was 6'4", so we stopped the game against each other. There's not a lot of room in that neutral zone. I'll tell you that right now. That was in the old Spectrum in Philly, man. Those games, those are some good games, I'll tell you. Those are good old days.
It gives a new definition of the term, ice is tilted.
Yeah.
It was literally tilted.
The ice was crying when all of us were on the ice.
That's awesome. And for you, 2 50-goal seasons in a row. And I don't know if people realize a 50-goal scorer in the NHL is not something that happens all the time, right?
Yeah.
And 4 in a row, you had 40 plus.
Yeah.
But one thing that really impressed me was the year you had 50 plus goals and 200 plus penalty minutes. You weren't a guy to shy away from the physical game.
That was one interesting year. I don't know how I come up with those 250 minutes. I had one year I had 170 minutes. I had 50 goals. I spent the time, but back then, if you got in a fight at the end of the game, you got 5 minutes, 10 minutes gone. The game so you picked up 25 minutes pretty quick. So it's kind of like they like to throw you out of the game. So it's like they don't do that these days. They don't throw people out. They kind of keep them in. But it was that was just played. I just played the way I know how to play it, and whatever happened. We had a good team. We won a lot. So it was I don't know. Those Pittsburgh teams, man.
Yeah, but don't sell yourself short in that. In that time period, you were the best power forward, left wing forward in the game. I mean, no question. I liken your game to Cam Neely's.
Yeah, it was kind of the same type. I was, and my game in the power forward games all represents who the center is. My first center was Johnny Collin, who played at BU. He had like 250 points. He's a phenomenal passer, phenomenal player. Same type of player as Mario and those guys, but a little smaller, but had great hands. He wanted the puck all the time. Like for to be a power forward in the league, it really hinges on who your center is. Your center makes a big thing. When you play with centermen that want the puck, they want to distribute the puck. They like to get assists. That's what the power play. That's what we like to do. We like to get to the net. I knew I had to score my goals. I scored a lot of my goals around that blue paint. And I could, obviously pop out and get, some shots where Mario has the puck. The guys he brings a lot of traffic to him, as everybody knows, any centerman. So as a power forward, you get to the net, and those guys just want a little bit of ice, and they can make a play, and those are the guys that really make it all happen.
Now, you lived out every kid's dream of playing in the NHL, but taking it a step further, what's it like to lift the Stanley Cup?
Yeah, the Stanley Cup, that was pretty good. I've seen it. I don't think I ever touched, I've seen, people do it and stuff. You always think about, I wonder how heavy that thing is. I wonder how it is, and I remember, it was pretty good the night we lifted it. It was heavier than you think it is sometimes. Sometimes you're kind of worried about it. I remember during the parade, now they have a guy follow that cup around. Yeah, we didn't have that. We went out at night with our limousines after we won the cup and the cup. And it was like, I remember the GM one morning called me at 6 in the morning. I just got in. He's like, Kevin, where's the cup? I'm like, Craig, are you serious? You think I know where the Stanley Cup is? I haven't seen the Stanley Cup in 4 hours. I just got home. I don't know, guys who got drifting everywhere. And one of the guys, thank God, had it and took it back to his house and had the thing. But I remember in the parade, that cup was bent, it was falling apart. When you had to pick it up to show it during the parade, we had to make sure you grabbed it by the strip because it was gonna move. It was moving a little bit, So it can't be the cup same. It can't be the cup the same cup all the time. I think that every day when I see that, I think is there only one of these? There's got to be it because that thing we couldn't even pick it up because it was bending, it was broken. We had it out we had it out in the field.
What did you do with your day with the cup?
We didn't have the day with the cup.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so it was kind of I wasn't able to bring it home. I think we had a party with a bunch of us, the Boston guys. Maybe they had it somewhere here. I forget, but we didn't have the one day. They started that right after we wanted, we could take it home and take it to the rink and all that stuff. But we just took it out for a week and destroyed it. And I hope it was the fake cup because I don't know.
They gave you the stand-in cup.
I think I hope it was the wrong one.
And 2 years in a row.
Yeah, we destroyed it 2 years in a row.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so you win the cup 2 years in a row. That third year, repeating 3 times. Impossible.
Yeah, that was our best team. Our third year was by far our best team we had. That was the year we got upset by the Islanders. They beat us in double overtime in the second round. And that's the year Montreal played. Remember Gretzky was with LA. Montreal ended up winning it. But we would have, that year we would have won. That team, I think we had 125 points or something. We won 17 games in a row without a loss or a tie that year. That was by far our best team, and we lost, So it's the Stanley Cup, you know how it is. The Stanley Cup is so hard to win. Every all playoffs, I just watched I love baseball playoffs. I think baseball playoffs are awesome, but the Stanley Cup is so hard to win just because you got to win 4 rounds, right?
Yeah, 16 wins.
Yeah, it's hard to do because guys get hurt, the intensity of the game, the goaltenders have to play well. The best thing about winning the Stanley Cup, you win it, all 25 guys are going to have to play it sometime. Some of your 8th or 9th defensemen are playing, which is great, and your 16 forward is playing. That's what makes, the top guys have to play well, but when you don't win without your 3rd or 4th line guys chipping in. 1 game, 2 games, whatever, they score a big goal to win that game. That's huge, because, you need those guys and you need the role guys, and it's it's so fun to win the Stanley Cup because everybody feels part of it. It's like, and everybody, like, it's not, Mario doesn't win. Like, Mario didn't even make the playoffs till, like, Craig built the team,
Right.
He played 3 years. He had, 160, whatever he had for points, but he couldn't make the playoffs, That's how, it's such a team game. And when you win, it's just, because everybody had a part, and it's so much fun because it's so hard to win. It's a hard thing to win.
Yeah. And you had Tom Barrasso in net, which doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
And I think your goalie has to steal a game or two, for sure. I mean, you look at any winner of the cup, New Jersey, when they won with Brodeur. Of course, the classic goalie stealing a series is Ken Dryden when he beat that Bruins team. That was
Timmy
unreal.
Thomas here.
Tim Thomas.
Yeah, there was so many. Like, it's always about the goalie. Like the goalie. And like every time we won, Tommy got hurt a couple of times, and Frank Pietrangelo came in. I remember going into Game 6 in New Jersey. We're down 3-2. Mario's out, Coffey's out, and Barrasso's out. Game 6. We're in Jersey against like a powerhouse team. And we end up Frank Pietrangelo has to play net. We go up 4-0. No, we go up 3-0. We ended up winning the game 4-3. We hung on by a thread. It was like, if there was replay, we probably would have lost that game. Because I remember laying in the net and the puck was over the line, but it would have tied the game. I'm like, really? And there was no replay, so we snuck that one out. But I kind of figure like all that stuff comes, back in the wash, I guess. But it was, and then we go back to Pittsburgh and Pietrangelo, we went 4-0, he shuts them out, so it's Game 7. So it's kind of like, you need everybody. Tommy was phenomenal goalie. Tom, he's big. He could move the puck like a defenseman. And back then, it's not like now. Like a big part of our game was keeping the puck away from the goalies when you dump it in. That was like a huge part because the goalies could come anywhere. They could handle the puck so well. Like Brodeur handled the puck. Richter, they all handled the puck so well. Ron Hextall was in Philly. They could shoot the puck as hard as we could. Barrasso could handle the puck. So he'd break that puck out for us. Like, you could hold guys up back then. The goalies could make the plays. And it was... it's a whole different game now. You can't hold anybody up, and everybody, you can't get in front of anybody. It's different. It's probably a better game that way, but the goalies were a big part. Tommy was great for us.
Now, one thing you brought up injuries, right? And injuries are always a part of the game. You had an injury that was, it's difficult to watch that video against the Islanders. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was it was Game 7. It was that game we lost. We were going for our third cup. It was Game 7. It was I took a penalty. 10 seconds in, you can talk about penalties. 10 seconds in the game, me and another kid take a penalty. So me and this other kid in the Islands, we go off. It's Game 7. It was kind of like emotions were kind of high, whatever. So now the penalty's over, and I'm coming out of the box, and I see Pilon coming around that, a guy I battled with for 15 years. Didn't like him, Didn't like him at all. He's a good friend of mine now. Hated him then, but I seen him taking the net, and I come out of the box, and I hit him. He took the net, I jumped at him, and I hit him. If you watch, everybody watches me hit the ice because I'm the one that got hurt. But if you watch where he went flying. I hit him good.
That was a collision.
That was a collision.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he had hurt his eye, right? So he had a half shield. We didn't wear shields back then. I didn't wear a shield. He never wore a shield. But he had a half shield on because he hurt his eye a couple games before. So we hit heads. So when we hit heads, I got knocked out from his shield, hit me in the temple. So I got knocked out in the air. And when I came down, I couldn't put my hands down, so I just came face first down. I broke all these bones in my face, So that was a big injury because that was only 2 minutes into the game. We ended up losing that game, which was brutal. And I'm in the hospital. We'll listen to it on the radio, and that was. And we're down 3-1 with a minute left. We get 2 goals with our goalie pull, so we tie it 3-3 with the goalie pull. And then double overtime. David Voller scores, who hasn't been on the ice in like 3 hours. He hasn't been playing. So he gets the shift, and he ends up burying a one-timer like from the corner. It goes over Tommy's shoulder, and we lose, And that's the hardest thing. Like, I was hurt. I wasn't going to be able to play. Like, it took me, I was in the hospital a month or something, and I had the surgeries and got myself, back together. I really didn't train at all. I had to go right into training camp that year, but it was. Yeah, the injury thing was, was something that happened, and was I don't know. It's sad because we lost that game, and we kind of had to break our team up a little bit and all that stuff. But we thought we should have won 3 in a row. That was a great team. Yeah.
Now that injury you suffered, and a lot of people probably don't even realize how bad it was.
Yeah.
And for you to not only get through that, but then come back and play.
Yeah.
I mean that in and alone is an incredible feat.
Yeah. Pass to center, cut off by Shel Samuelson. And the Penguin defenseman will just softly send it into the Islanders' net area. Healy again out of the goal to play it up the boards. And Brian Mullen shoots it up the sideboards, back to the Penguin zone. 15-17 to go, period number 1. No score in Game 7. An outlet pass over the head of Lemieux of Pittsburgh. Into the near corner of the Islanders in. And Stevens with a booming check in on Pilon. Stevens hurt himself on that play. Kevin Stevens ramming Pilon, knocked him flying, but Kevin Stevens got the worst of that. And Lemieux quickly calling for the Penguin trainer to come out.
Pilon may have gotten his stick up to protect himself when Stevens came in because Kevin is bleeding.
And it may have caught him around the eye. Lemieux hurriedly motioned for Corky Osborne to get over.
He wants the doctor to come out
immediately. I just didn't see Kevin. Oh, he went right down on his face. He went straight down on his face as though he kind of was knocked out. He may have hit the visor or the helmet of Pilon. And he just seemed to be unconscious when he when he went to the ice. He just seemed to hit face first, flat, as he went down. He took a bloodied up pretty good. That's what happened. He hit his helmet ball and that visor, and it knocked him out. It knocked him out. He was gone. And he just went straight down and fell flat on his face. He had no control over his body. He was gone at that point,
yes,
and down he went.
You're absolutely right.
That was
Mike.
it.
Straight down on his face. Oh,
he broke his nose. That's what he did. He broke his nose.
I got healthy. I felt fine playing. I had to wear the shield for that year, and I didn't. I had a good year that next year, but then things started to happen a little bit besides, from the injury and stuff like that. But like when I came back, I felt okay and stuff like that. But then like injury, from the injury, things happened and stuff happened, and then it started to get a little difficult for me from there on.
We can talk about that. I still have some hockey questions though for you. So that year, you outscored Gretzky by 2 points.
Yeah.
And you still don't win the scoring title because your line mate is Lemieux.
Yeah, I know. That was hard. The one year I was leading the league in scoring for a while. It was when Paolo Fontaine and Mario and me. And Mario was hurt. And I was like, hey, I might win this. Maybe Mario just sit, wait for the playoffs. Wait for the playoffs. I was like, take it easy, man. We don't need you. He comes back, and then I'm like, he comes back. I'm like, I got no chance now. He's coming back. He played like 22 games less than me, and he buries me. He comes back and winds up winning by like 10 or 12 points. But that year, that was an interesting year because the first game, I remember, I got 7 points in the first game. That's when we played Washington.
Yeah.
I was playing my contract out too. It was like an option year, and we go into Washington. We win like 8-6, and I had 3 goals and 4 assists. I'm like, oh my God, everything I touched is going in. It was like, that was a good start to the year. But that was that was an interesting year because I was around the 75, 70 game mark. I was like, maybe I can get this thing, But then the big boy jumped back in and was lights out.
That's unreal. Yeah. And the 3 All-Star games, what's it like to play with the greatest players at the time? Because, Gretzky and, I mean, you could name a bunch of them, but what's it like? I mean, you play with Lemieux, so it's kind of like you were already kind of spoiled in the sense that you play. But what was it like to play in an All-Star?
Yeah, it's still really cool. It was I played in one in Chicago and in Montreal and one I think it was the other ones in Pittsburgh. I forget where they were. But the Montreal one was great. The Chicago one was during the war, and the national anthem in Chicago. That's the big thing here when they go crazy in that old Chicago stadium. And we won our second cup in the Chicago stadium. That place is great. That was quite a thing. That was a great, amazing thing. I'll tell you a little story about the game. The Chicago All-Star game. I'll tell you, we're warming up, and I'm standing next to Andy Moog was in the net. He made the All-Star team that year. And a guy takes a shot, and it hits me in the he kicks it out, and the puck comes in and hits me in the head, right? I'm like, so I don't, it hit me flat, so like if it would have hit me this way, it would have killed me. We don't have helmets on, we're in warm-ups, right?
Right.
So the puck hits me flat on the head, and I'm like, oh my, I was completely out of it, right? Talk is a good friend of mine. He was in that All-Star game. And I was sitting next to him and after warm-ups to talk. I'm a little banged up. He said, what do you mean? I'm out of it. He goes, what happened? I just only told him. I said, the puck hit me in the head. He said, what? What do you mean? He said, he goes, you going to play or not? I said, yeah, I'll just try to play. I'll just play. What the heck? Played the whole game, everything. And then after the game, Talk goes to the one that I wasn't going to stay. Talk goes to the doctor. I think you should check Kevin out. Doc comes up to me, asks me to where you are. No idea. Like I had no clue I was in Chicago. It's the weirdest thing in the world. I've never had that happen. I've had a lot of banged up heads and stuff but I've never had, I've always heard people ask people, we watch a sporting event, you see the guy say, do you know where you are? And the guy says, yeah, I'm in Dallas, I'm here. He asked me where I was. It was the weirdest thing. I had no clue. I couldn't answer him. Do you know what time it is? No. I didn't know nothing. It was like,
that's
I had to go
crazy.
sit in the hospital. In Chicago, the whole I just sit in the hospital 4:30 in the morning getting tests done. After the All-Star game, because I hit warm-ups with a puck on the head.
Do you ever give Andy Moog a little business about that?
I didn't tell anybody else. He talked to the only one that knew. He goes, is he coming back out tonight? I said, I don't know. I got home with my wife 5 in the morning from the hospital because I couldn't see.
Did you play?
I played the whole game. Oh, yeah. Had a goal. I played the whole game.
You don't know where you are.
I didn't know where it
scored?
was. I had no idea.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Okay,
That's a hockey player right there, right? That's what people don't
That was like my
understand.
first thought. There's no way I'm sitting out.
Yeah.
Doc said, you're going to tell the doctor? No, I'm not sitting out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, we brought up instant replay, which
Yeah.
wasn't a thing. Wasn't a thing when I was refereing either.
Yeah.
We made the call. We had to stick with it. What's your thoughts on instant replay?
I think it's good because I don't really like the offside. Especially when it's like this much and the play goes on for 2 minutes and then they
I don't
score,
either. Yeah.
That rule is kind of crazy, I think. Because if it's a big, if you're offside by a foot, 2 feet, something, But if it's a real minute offside, I don't think that makes a difference because I don't think it makes the play. But the goal line stuff, if you see if the puck went in, if it didn't go in, I think that's important.
Yeah.
That's like football, right? If you make a touchdown, if it's not a touchdown, I think those are your knees down or something. That stuff's important, but the ticky-tack stuff, the offside is a tough one, but I think the goals and stuff, to agree with you, I think it helps because the game's fast. You know how it is. The game's fast. You can't see all the stuff and where stuff's going, but the refs had a tough deal. We only had one referee back there.
Yeah.
2 lines and the one ref, and you could get away with it. You can get away with a lot more stuff, I can tell you that. But we knew it. Like the game, we policed the game. The refs didn't police the game. That's the best way. You don't want the refs to like you refs. You don't want that. You don't want to have to police the game. You want to let the game flow. Things happen, and you call the penalty. It's the right call.
Right.
But if 2 guys are whacking each other and they whack each other, it's part of the game. They just go.
Play on.
Now. There's too much. You can't play behind anybody anymore. Everybody fronts everything because you can't cross-check anybody. You can't push anybody away. Like, I could stand like it's the goalie and me now. It used to be the goalie, your defenseman and me, because the D-man would be pushing you, right?
Right.
So now it's everybody fronts you. You see all these blocked shots. Everybody's blocking. If I get hit with a shot, it was by accident.
You weren't trying.
I wasn't trying to block the shot. I can tell you that way. I was trying to get out of the way more than trying to block the shot.
That's awesome.
But now everybody blocks shots because everybody's fronting.
The equipment too.
Yeah, and the equipment.
Much different now.
It's just different. Everybody's in lanes. All we talk about is with D-men. You got to move your legs so you can find the lane to shoot it. Get it through because the most aggravating thing in the world is when you battle in front of the net and your D-man drills it into the other guy's pads and it goes down your end. As a forward, I hated that more than anything. But now you got to find lanes because guys get in lanes. There's so many shots. The D block everything, right?
Well, and they teach that now too. That wasn't something that you did if you were there, but it wasn't a skill that they taught.
We had a couple of guys that could block shots. Like Alfie Sams could block shots. Coffey didn't block shots. Larry Murphy didn't block. Shel Samuelson did. A few guys did. Like other guys like us that hit us, it was by accident.
Right.
The goalie had the pads on.
Now, you brought up a guy in Boston that's a complete felon in our mind, right? Hated by everyone in Boston. Ulf Samuelsson. How is he as a teammate?
Oh, he's the best. Like, he's the greatest guy in the world. He was one of my good friends. Like, if he plays on your team, like when he was in Hartford, I hated him too. I played it when he's run at me all the time. He did.
Yeah.
And the best thing about Alfie is that he goes after the top guys. Like a lot of defensemen won't hit the top guy. Like they don't go after that. They'll back off, whatever. Alfie's main thing was to go at Neely, right? So that was like, he ran at him 100 miles an hour. He'd hit him, he'd have his head down, he'd miss him, he'd knee him. Any part of the body, he's gonna hit him.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, but he was really a great teammate, But
I hate hearing that.
I know. I remember one time in New York, Messier smashed. I literally took a stick and smashed him over the head. And there was no penalty. Right? The rest just let it go. They looked at my head. They knew Alfie was like a pain in the neck, So they say, well, that's not going to call. He literally smashed him over the head, A couple of games, I remember a couple of games when Alfie loses his helmet. He has that big window on, so no one can get at him. You can't get at him, right? When his helmet comes off, everybody on the other team wants to jump on the bench. They're looking to get out all the time. They're trying to jump off. We're thinking, Elsie, get off the ice. You're going to get killed over here. That's awesome. That was a classic.
So he was one. Claude Lemieux, another. A guy who played for Pittsburgh, Matt Cook.
Yeah, Cookie too,
Now it's funny because I wanted you to tell me Ophi was a complete jerk, but because I used to hate PK Subban till I see a story on him about him taking care of all the inner city kids in Montreal, and I'm like, come on, I wanna hate him.
I know. Yeah, it's odd. Like those, like Claude Lemieux too. I didn't like him at all either. He was like.
He was just a scumbag.
Yeah, when I saw Neely throw him in the boards head first, that was the best thing I ever seen. I didn't like him either.
Darren McCarty beating the bag out of him.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah. That was. You'd like to see some of those things happen, but he was. Like Claude was a guy, like he was difficult to play because he was big too. Like Alfie's big, right?
Yeah.
Claude was kind of big and wide, strong, and he's dirty, he's cheap, but he's hide behind his player, like he would never like get in there when
Well, I think that's what bothered me especially, but a lot of people. It's like you got to answer the bell.
I know.
You're gonna knee someone when they drop the gloves. You got to take the beating, and he always turtled.
I know.
Much like Lemieux and all these guys that turtle.
That's. I didn't know Alfie. Like I said, when he was in Hartford, I tried to murder him too. I wanted to kill him.
That's awesome.
But when he came to Pittsburgh. And I got to know, like, he's the greatest guy. Like, and he competes hard. He wants to win so bad. And that's all you want. You want a guy. And like I said, he the stuff he does. Sometimes I don't. Obviously on the other team, I hated it. I didn't like it. But on our team, he was a guy that that did that, and we kind of live with it. But you don't say you don't really like it. But he's effective, right? He's an effective player for us. He helped us. I don't think we win without him. Because he, like I said, he competes hard against the top players. And that's hard to find a guy to do that.
No, he's like a guy that, unlike Lemieux, unlike some of the guys, he's a guy that if he wore a Bruins uniform, he'd be a folk hero in Boston.
He would have loved him.
But
he did.
he's a villain.
He's a different guy.
Now, because we're zebras and referees. Because we always talk about now with the four guy system, it's different. Back in the day, you had guys like Andy Van Hellemont, Bill McCreary, Don Van Massenova. Personalities. You knew what you were getting. Who was the ref that you felt was the best one at the time? Or the one that was best to deal with?
They were all of them. I was easy to deal with because But I was friends with all, like off the ice, I loved them all. But they knew that, on the ice. And the best thing about the good referees, is they give you a penalty and they skate to the other side of the rink. Those are the good ones. The ones that sit there and want to argue with you, Stewie, right?
Stewie.
So I know Stewie, I like Stewie. But he's so confrontational. He's insane. Like, he's like,
he always wanted to fight people.
He's wants to argue. I'm like, I remember, he threw Mario out of a game one night. He threw the second shift of the game. People pay a lot of money to see Mario. That was back when like Mario and Gretzky like getting 200 points. They want to see him on a Saturday night.
Yeah, he told that story on episode 2.
Then he wants Mario to sign 20 shirts from him, in the locker room.
Right.
And then he throws them in the rubbish. It's like, The one time I ever seen Mario not sign a shirt was with Stewie.
Really?
Stewie threw him out of the game. All the referees that ref the games were pretty good guys. Yeah, I knew them off, so I liked them. But they knew that I got hot sometimes. Like when I didn't always agree with them. They were probably right, but at the time I thought I was right, and I wasn't. But they give the penalty and they skate to the other side after 30 seconds.
Everyone's cool.
Yeah. Those are the guys. And most of the guys back in the day did that. They were good. They knew the game. There's one referee. It wasn't like there was two, so there was no one too close to the penalty box. They all took off.
Yeah. And you knew you were getting. That's the thing. Down this end, down that end, you knew what was a penalty, what wasn't.
Yeah. And I didn't agree all the time with the call, which most of the time they were right, but at the point in time, I thought I was right.
Of course, yeah.
My mom used to tell me all the time, because they would get you in the penalty box and read the list. My mother would, she'd cringe. She said, "What are you doing?" I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "What are you talking like?" I was like, "Well, where?" I didn't know you. In the penalty box, he said, "You're awful." I said, "Yeah, I am."
Nothing worse than your mom catching you, right?
Yeah, that's when I started to think about it. My mom didn't say anything. I wasn't going to do anything. But the referees, I actually respect the referees, but the ones that they called the penalty, they had a tough, it was a hard job.
For my money, and maybe because he was my boss for 5 years, Andy Van Hellemond was the best for me.
Yeah, I like Andy. He knew. He knows personalities. He knows. They get to know the players a little bit, because there wasn't a ton of referees back then. The guys, you see them, you might see them 2 or 3 games in a week.
Right.
So you get. They get to know you. You get to know them a little bit. They know your person. They know what's going on. They know hockey. You guys know hockey. The ones that know the game and they play and know what's going through our heads too. So those are the ones that are the best referees. The linesmen were great.
I was going to say, what about the linesmen?
Kevin Collins.
Kevin's great.
All the linesmen were good. Like Murph, there was a lot. All the old linesmen were.
My favorite was Ron Asseltine, the bear. He supervised me in the Coast League.
And the little linesman that was so strong.
Ray Scampanella.
Yeah, Ray Scamp.
He was like 5'0".
He's strong enough. Getting in there 6 foot. All the guys are 6'8" fighting. He's in there one hand.
Kerry Frazier liked working with him, I think, because they were the same height.
Kerry. I remember that Mario went after Kerry Frazier.
Really?
He gave him a penalty. Mario didn't like Kerry. Kerry was kind of tough sometimes. He liked to be the spotlight. So I gave Mario a penalty, put him in the box, and all of a sudden I see the door open. I was on the ice, and Mario starts coming out of the box. After I already went in the box. And he came out before the puck was dropped. That chased him. He had a tackle and everything. He was hot. I remember that one for a while. Frazier guy, he got on Mario a little bit.
So now you have the injury. And as someone that's in recovery, 19 years sober from alcohol, you go through a real tough spot. And what is so admirable about you is how you came out the other side. Because, things got dark for you.
It was interesting how, addiction kind of hit, right before, I was 20 years old. Never did a drug, never knew anything about drugs, never knew anything about any of this stuff, So I remember one night in New York City, it was right before, probably 2 or 3 months before my injury. We're in New York City, same thing. I was with 10 of the guys having a couple of beers. The next thing, but someone handed me something. Now I know it was cocaine. I didn't know.
Right.
I never seen it. I never did. I was 28, never did any drug, never knew it. And so I tried it, right? And for some reason I tried. I made a 20-second decision that night that changed my life for the next 24 years, because if I didn't do it that night, then I wouldn't know. But I for some reason I did it not knowing about anything. I didn't even, now we all addiction and whatever. I didn't know what to do. I thought I was going to get on a bus and everything was, But things changed. It didn't change that night, but my brain processed something Then flash forward 2 months later, I get banged, I get hurt, I get to the hospital. I don't even know what pain medication is, but I obviously I'm on it for 2 months in the hospital. But I already opened up the can of worms with the cocaine, right? So I'm kind of like, I don't even really know, but so time goes and I get better in the hospital, but I still, the thing that kind of processes me is that the cocaine is the kind of one that's kind of getting me right now. It's not the painkiller. I didn't really know about the painkiller. So for the first 3 or 4 years after the injury, open up the can of worms with the cocaine, then the pain pills. Then I start struggling a little bit with the cocaine. Like I'm not doing it a lot, but I'm just to be a top line player and to be a real good hockey player. You need I was 150% hockey. That's it. All I did was.
And you're playing at the time, because you came back.
Now I'm back playing.
Right.
So I'm back playing, kind of battling this. I'm not, like I said, I'm not doing it, but I'm doing it enough to make.
Be a problem.
Make the progression. It's all about progression and it becomes addiction, right? So the progression starts and then I start getting jammed up and life becomes hard. It all happened because of that one choice I made in New York City, and then the injury on top of it, then that happened. So for the next 24 years, like I get in trouble, I get rehab, all the stuff that happens. I got stuck in addiction, and it was hard. It was brutal because you can look at my 7 years like this, right? That night in New York City, and I had 7 years like this. Literally, I was 7 years. I was out of the league. I accepted being average. All the things, all the things with addiction. The people that I didn't understand it. I didn't even know what addiction was until I started getting, doing all the thinking, getting all these programs I had to take. And next thing I know, I'm out of the league, and I'm like, what happened? Like, it's like a lot of pain. I'm not talking a little bit of pain. When I hit addiction, I was a first-team All-Star, back-to-back 50-goal years, back-to-back Stanley Cups. If you wanted someone's life, you wanted my life.
100%.
As a hockey player, I'm on the left wing with Mario Lemieux, and my life couldn't be like,
Right.
I got a wife that takes care of everything. I live in Pittsburgh. I love where I play. Love everything about my life. And I got this problem that I don't even know what the problem is, right?
Right.
Until it's too late, and then you learn about it, and you get and as we all know, addiction is not about willpower. It's not about if I could willpower this thing, I did a lot of things. I used to ride the bike in the middle of the night because other guys weren't doing it, so I could be a better hockey player.
Right.
All this stuff was taken away because I didn't have that drive anymore. It takes everything, right? It was just taking pieces of me, and I tried to pull it together, and I couldn't, because I couldn't. I used to, I got into rehab. When I went into rehab, all I worried about was when I was getting out to play hockey. It wasn't about recovery.
Right.
I had no recovery. I go in there, they're going to say, okay, you're in here for 60 days, 70 days, 80. I'm worried about when's the next day to get out and play. I'm looking at the hockey schedule. All I want to do is play.
Right.
So I get out, and I go back right into playing with no program, right? So I have no support system. I have no nothing. What I learned now, like how I do it now, like the way that you have to stay sober, I didn't have any of that. All I cared about was playing hockey.
Right.
And then I come out in the action again. I'd be good for a month, thinking everything, have a couple of beer, whatever, And then the progression would start, because I wasn't putting it first in my life. I wasn't doing the things I needed to do because I wanted to play hockey. I wanted to be the best hockey player I could be, and I didn't know I had to take care of this first, before I could be the best hockey player I could be, and it took a toll, and it took a lot of pain. I suffered, my family, everybody, addiction, everybody suffers, but you're basically the one that suffers the most, and it's torture. So it was a tough haul. Like I said, it happened when I tell people now, it happened to me at the highest point in my life.
Right.
You don't have to be down here for it to happen, right? It doesn't matter. You have it, and if you want to activate this thing of this gene that I know I have, then it's going to be a problem, and that can be anybody. And that's what I tell kids, you gotta not even, you can't especially nowadays, you can't do anything because you can die very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, back when I was there, it wasn't about death. It was just about trying to be in recovery. And I had to learn the hard way. A lot of pain. But life goes on. And like you said, we got to move. We take a day at a time. We move forward, and that's what I did. But it was a painful stretch.
And I think you saying all you focused on was playing hockey.
Yeah.
But still, and I think it's the true epitome of addiction. You're so focused in wanting to be the best hockey player, and yet this piece over here is what's in control.
Yeah.
And I think that is really the fascinating in a bad way part of addiction.
Yeah.
Right? Because and anyone who's been there knows you get this controls even though this is what's important to you.
Yeah.
You know, mine was making the NHL as a referee, but I let this get in the way. And it's that's why anyone that can go through that path and then get to where you are now, it's it's something that's very admirable. I think now, and also an injury, right? That's how I ended up with the problem with Vicodin, because my back, I had 2 surgeries. Next thing you know, you're a mess, and you can't get off.
So I retired, and then after that I hurt my back in the gym after I retired. And someone gave me like 4 Percocets, and then I was on that. That was 11-year, run of Percocets and opiates, and that's what kind of brought me to my knees. Was the opiate. It wasn't the cocaine was gone.
Right.
It was more the opiates, and it was. Then I had to battle that, and like you said, it's not about the heart. It's about getting this first, then you can have this. But I wanted this first, and then get this. So and addiction is way too strong. It has no. It's not going to take any prisoners, It
doesn't discriminate.
It
doesn't matter. Doesn't care.
Matter who or
Does
what.
not care.
You don't take care of it, you got no chance, and that's just the nature of the beast. If you have it, you got to deal with it, and you got to make sure that you put this first because it's so, it's weight in it, and it's so strong. It's strong, right? It's just.
And it doesn't matter the vice.
Nothing.
It's so heavy. And you sometimes you deal with one, and you fall into another until you really get to that core that put you there. Now, one thing I find fascinating because Derek Sanderson was on, and he talked about his issues he had. Bobby Orr was crucial in getting him sober. Mario Lemieux did a lot for you as well. And I just find it fascinating that 2 of the best hockey players ever, are that kind of teammate and friend.
Yeah, Mario was great. He would send me his plane to go to treatment and stuff. Like he was really good at staying. He didn't want to be in any spotlight. He didn't want anybody to know. He was just kind of one of those guys that kind of, whatever you need, I'll try to help you. I want to help you, And it's like, and the hardest thing is like. I was such a good teammate. I was like
everyone loved you. Anything you hear about you, everyone loved you. Like Mario Lemieux said, you were the engine that drove that team.
Yeah, I love the hockey. I love the rink. I love the rink. I love the trainers. I love the equipment guys. I love the guys, the old guys that worked in the dressing room at night.
Right.
Like those. We had a big ritual every time I went on the ice. I had all the old guys. Those are like my buddies. It was like. And those, but I didn't. I was at the rink all the time. I like being like that. And I loved that Pittsburgh team. I loved those were my guys. I'd do anything for those guys. And then this started to creep in. I would never be without those guys. But you know how addiction kind of puts you in alone. You don't want you feel that guilt. You don't want to be with the guys. You want it was really bad. I didn't really know. I really didn't know. I didn't know about addiction. I didn't even know what was happening, but I know I was stuck because I was running and I was afraid and I wasn't able to be the teammate I wanted to be. And it was just the whole thing. Obviously now I'm back to
I was gonna say, you were a scout.
Yeah.
When you were kind of going through, and Mario had to make a tough decision to let you go.
I had the Pittsburgh job 3 times. two times. He fired me. He hired me again. So he literally hired me 3 times. That's a good guy he is.
Yeah, that's a friend.
It's like, he fired me twice.
And that's what you're doing now. You're scouting for the Penguins.
And the best thing about scouting for Pittsburgh, that's a team I want to see win. I work for the team the best thing I think about, like, sometimes guys scout and they just, it's a job. It's really not a job for me. I want Pittsburgh to win, so it's like I'm going to see games because I'm trying to get guys to help them win. It's not, sometimes you get jobs where, like hockey guys, you go watch the games, you watch them, but you don't really care. It's a paycheck, right?
Right.
I'm not really in it for that. I'm in it. I need the team. I want the team to win. And that's a good thing. But yeah, he had to let me go a couple times, and that's just the nature. Like, he understood it, and he gave me another crack. It was kind of like, it was kind of crazy, but it's he's an awesome guy. He doesn't own the team anymore, but he's it's the only reason why the team's in Pittsburgh.
Right.
He wouldn't be here without him.
Yeah, I think they would have moved.
They were bankrupt. They gave him the reason he got the team because they owed him $40 million. The team was only worth $88 million then.
Yeah.
So they said, okay, you can have half the team. We don't have any money to give you. Take half the team and get a couple investors. And so he did that. And the team was in bankruptcy, and they were going to go to Kansas City or something. And he got enough investors to keep it in Pittsburgh. Then we finished last, we were terrible. No one was going to the games. Then we get Crosby. Then we get Malkin.
Yeah.
Then we start winning cups. We get a new rink. Mario sells the team. The team just sold for $980 million. He got it for 44. He got it for free, but it wouldn't have been there without him.
Right.
He built it to where it was.
Yep.
The team won. He was there every night. Like, he put his time in. He worked. When he was the owner, he was there. He wasn't an owner that didn't. He was at every game. Like, he was involved. Any hockey trade we made, he had okay to trade. He wasn't in everyday conversation. But once we got to a point where the trade was going to happen, he had to say it was okay. So it was, he was involved, and he kept the team there. He's an amazing guy. He's a quiet guy, so people don't know a lot about him.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. He's not that tight.
Yeah,
just like Orr. Just like those superstars seem to be that tight.
And Gretzky too. Gretzky's the greatest guy in the world. Like Gretz and Mario and Bobby too. I know Bobby too. And it's just amazing. Like, Gretz is amazing. Like, he's such a big. Like, I remember playing with the Rangers with him. Like, in Canada, he's big, way bigger than Mario. It's crazy. It's crazy how big he is. It's like, and he's like, he's shit with us. He's such a great guy. Like, he's like, it's amazing.
Yeah. Now I want you to talk a little bit about. So you took, what you went through.
Yeah.
Judge cut you a break.
Yeah.
But you took that, and now you talk to kids about this.
Yeah.
I think it's so crucial that you give back in that way. Tell me a little bit about that.
It was good. I have a foundation. It's called Power Forward 25, and it's my sister and me. We kind of run it. And but what had happened when I went to court? Like, I got arrested and for pain medication and whatever. And then I got probation, and the judge. I wasn't really. I was supposed to get 18 months in jail. Like, when you get a federal case, it's like it's like this, and you go and you serve your time and you do what you got to do. But he gave me a break. He said, "But you're going to work with me. We're going to work together,
Yep.
And then we're going to try to help with this opiate thing that's going on around the state, around the country, and all that stuff." So I had the opportunity to go talk to schools, and the best thing about it is, all I have to do is tell the truth. When I go and talk to a school or talk to kids or talk to a business, I just tell them what happened. This is what happened. This is what happened to me. I don't have to think about a motivational speech. I know what happened.
Right.
I know
your story is motivational. That's it.
This is what happened. I was two-time All-Star, first scoring 50 goals, happy as can be. And I made a decision one night to make a bad choice. I made a bad choice. It caused the pain for the next 24 years. It didn't happen overnight. It's not going to happen like now. When I talk to them, I said, you can't make a bad choice because you could die because of fentanyl. But I made a choice and a decision at the top of everything, and it doesn't pick and choose. I just tell them what happened to me, how I was feeling, and what the path it took me. And it took me down a painful path, but I was able to do that, and I'm able to help a lot of people. And what my foundation does, I thought the hardest time, I went to treatment, and the hardest time was when you get out of treatment. You're locked in for 30, 60, 90, whatever amount of time. You can stay sober in there because you're locked up in there. But when you get out, where are you going to go? Most of the people have lost everything. They have no money, they have no nothing, everything is gone. So you can't go back to where you came from because you're going to use, most 90% of the time you're going to come back in that environment again and you're going to have a problem. So what we do is we pay for 6 weeks of treatment for people. So when they come out, we'll pay 6 weeks for their sober house. We'll pay to live in a sober house or any time a treatment house. Like mostly all the sober houses around Massachusetts. So, people will send an application. I'll look at it, and we've helped a lot of people. Like, we got 30 or 40 people in treatment right now in a house where, they can get their life together. They can start to, I figured like 6 weeks. I thought that was, for me, it was the hardest time. Like, when you get out, right when you get out, what direction are you going to go? This just gives you 6 weeks to maybe get a job, get a place you can live with other sober people, meet people, try to, because we all know staying sober is you can't do it alone, right? You can't do this thing alone. And that's the hardest thing. We all think we can conquer this thing alone, and we're all strong, we're tough guys, we do all this stuff, but until you open up to other guys and let other guys help you, it's not going to work, right? So I thought that was a big thing. So we got guys, we're helping people in treatment and doing the best we can do.
Absolutely awesome.
So
now, where can people find more information or donate or help that foundation?
Power25.com. That's our foundation. So it's that's like our website. That's where people can go to see if they need help. All the stuff's on there. My sister Kelly pretty much takes care of all. She's been great. Like she's been a lifesaver because she had a big pharmaceutical job. She retired like early. She retired right when I was kind of getting into when I was getting my court date, when I was starting to get clean and sober in this process with someone. She really helped me put this Power Forward thing together and all the people, and she does all the work behind the scenes. So she's been amazing. It's a great thing. We help a lot of people, saving them, trying to, like we can say, how hard it is to stay sober one day. It's hard. It's hard to get, And not all like we got it, I get it, you got it, but a lot of people don't get it. More people don't get it than get it, and we're lucky to have a seat right here doing what we're doing and just talking about it. Sometimes, we never know who you can help, and that was the biggest thing for me is just get it out there. Get out there and do it because, it's, like I said, I just have to tell the truth. It's not, when people ask me to speak, and I say, sure, but I don't have to think about it. I can wake up that morning tired, dead tired. I know my story. I know what happened. This is what happened. If you like, if it can help you, I can help you. This is what happened to me.
Well, like Russell Brand is one of my favorite people to listen to, and he says, you only have to stay sober for today. That's it, because all we have is today.
That's the best thing, right?
You know what? If tomorrow, I always say, if I wake up tomorrow, I'll make tomorrow great. So, well, Kevin, this has been an absolute honor to have you on, not only because you're one of the greatest power forwards ever to play the game in the NHL, but because you're just such an inspiration. And I think everyone should hear that story. And everyone out there, if you're struggling, should know that you can do it. And you're not alone. That's the biggest thing.
That's the biggest thing. There's always hope. You never give up. Because why did I get it? Why did you get it? Like, why did we get it one day, right? It just happened. It happens, and it can happen to you. I tried it. I had to try I was in treatment 5 or 6 times, and somehow I got it. And life can be pretty good, just like one day at a time. Like you said, it's all we got is right now. And hope the Bruins can win a hockey game.
They better, right? Bruins and Pittsburgh, right? Because the Penguins are not doing well either.
Oh, Jesus. I don't know. Get into that team. We got no problems here.
Well, that's awesome. We want to thank Kevin Stevens for joining us here on Chirping Zebras, episode 38. And, we're live. And coming to you from One Main Restaurant in Peabody. You should come check them out. It's a cool place. Want to thank AOA Studios for coming out. Mike and Cam and taking care of all the production stuff. Also want to thank CPF Productions for putting this on, and Todd Angeli for hosting us at another watch party. Luckily we're surrounded by some great people, and one of the greatest people is our sponsor, the Referees Crease. Gino's dad, Big Gene. We call him Big Gene, but he's really Little Gene. Want to thank him because without his support, this wouldn't all happen. So want to remind you, find us on the social medias, the Facebook, the Twitter, the TikTok, the Instagram. I don't even think we're on the Twitter. But either way, find us out there. Like and subscribe on the YouTube. And also check out Kevin's foundation, Power Forward 25, and support that cause. So for Kevin Stevens, I'm Mark Riley. I want to thank you for watching Chirping Zebras. We'll see you next time.